and it just blew up. I mean, people just started emailing me, and people liked it. People started, uploading it for free on their website. Just started sharing it, copying it left and right. I didn't care. I mean, people were like, "Yeah, do you mind if I burn a couple of these?" I'm like, "Of course, that's the idea." So, I mean, I guess.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for doing this, and it's amazing that this exists and is breaking through the barrier. I'm sure everybody here has had frustrating experiences trying to get their families and friends to look at this information. So it's breaking through, and people are beginning to wake up to this. But at the same time, it seems obvious that as a world culture, we're headed straight at a wall at a high rate of speed. And we're headed for some interesting times at a minimum. So you've indicted some of the co-conspirators here, but I wonder if you've considered that this goes way beyond just the current administration. For instance, the Bush family, the ties to financing the Nazis, the Federal Reserve.
We're all the Federal Reserve System. So where does it go from here?
We want to wake up, and I just wonder if you've also considered the spiritual dimensions. And just to mention one thing, Eckhart Tolle talks about how the madness in the world is currently accelerating, and yet at the same time there's an awareness that is also growing. And I'm wondering if you are working with that.
Well, I mean, as far as going so much further, we're well aware. I mean, there's just so much research that you can do just on the past that is this crazy. I mean, no one was ever really tried for JFK's killing. I mean, 15 years later, they had the House Senate Intelligence Committee hearings. Basically, they came to the conclusion there was conspiracy, but oh well. And, the Gulf of Tonkin incident passes, that no one gets in trouble, that we had a false war in Vietnam, the Iraq-Iran-Contra affair, that just goes on. No one really indicted there, President let off the hook, Vice President let off the hook. It just goes on, and it goes much farther than that, but what we need to do is stop that right here. Yeah. I mean, that is the goal, and I mean, what we're telling people is if you really care about this and you really can do it, you need to be at Ground Zero on Monday, September 11th, 2006. We got t-shirts online, we're going to put the artwork up so you can iron it on. We've got to make the media not ignore us. There's going to be every major media outlet in the world at the 5th anniversary of Ground Zero. And if they want a wide shot, they're going to have to cover us. And 100 signs that say 9/11 was an inside job. And everything else. And that's where we start. Because without that start, we're never going to get anywhere. And the 5th year is going to be bigger than the 6th. And we're not going to have another year like in the 10th. And quite frankly, are we going to get another year before another false flag terror operation is pushed on us? So, I'm calling on as many people can get down there. I mean, make it your vacation, come to New York City for the weekend, and stay for Monday. And if nothing else is done a year later, if there's no progress and some kind of real investigation, some kind of real prosecution, so we can get to these upper echelons of people, then we're going out to the White House in 2007, and we're not leaving until something's done. And that's our idea, and we're really trying to push this out.
Hi, I have been collecting 9/11 DVDs and checking out for information. There's a DVD out I just got called by the History Channel called First Responders. Near the end of the documentary, they show Building 7 going down. They show a crowd of people running away, and darling of the left journalist Amy Goodman is in the crowd running out.
Get out of here.
Not kidding. And you guys need to get that in your...
I'd love to. We actually got her on tape recently taking our DVD after she gave a big hypocritical speech, so that would be lovely. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Will you get to us? If you can find
History
that.
Channel, First Responders.
All right.
Responders, we'll definitely put it in.
I'd love to. Or do something with it. Yeah, that's fine.
Zygmunt Brzezinski, the former National Security Director for Carter, co-founder of the Trilateral Commission and Council on Foreign Relations member, came out in 1997 with a book called The Grand Chessboard, in which he claims 3 times in that book a catastrophe on the order of Pearl Harbor needs to occur within the United States in order to galvanize the American people into an imperial mobilization, democracy being inimical to imperialism. Now, 3 things I pick up out of that are, let's see here, 3 things. One of them is martial law. One of them is, all the crowd here is putting a little pressure on me, but there's 3 things that are going on there that clearly they want treason, treachery, treason, and martial law, and that's amazing that somebody can come out and write a book like that and drop it right on people. And the PNAC people, the Project for New American Century, are the same damn way. The 200 Israelis who were arrested and thrown in jail, the Israelis videotaping, I guess.
There were only 5, or 200.
Well, no, but I heard, you need to look out, there were a bunch of Israelis who were arrested.
Yeah, you're talking about the yardstick ring, right?
I suppose, yeah. But there's a whole lot of stuff, like the Roman judges used to say, who benefited. And that's really where people need to be looking at. And I think there's been so many films and so much other information there that somebody like Aaron Russo would be very helpful to you guys. He's already doing something, freedom to fascism. Things like this would be helpful to make an overview and put this together. I think that there are people out there with a lot of money to do it, but are you willing to perhaps reach out to someone like that and some other 9/11 people and come up with a really full-featured, knock-em-dead video?
We're trying right now, but at the same time, we're trying to keep it 9/11 based. I mean, the who benefits is definitely got to be involved, but when you get out to that broader spectrum, like the Federal Reserve System, the CFR, like you were talking about, Trilateral Commission, you just kind of muddy the waters. Not the Brzezinski stuff is great, by the way. I think, he served out so many things. That's valid evidence. But, so was the John O'Neill evidence that we couldn't put in. So was the ISI connection that we couldn't put in. I mean, there's just a stack of stuff, man, that we really want to put in. But think about the person that's greening this information. An hour and 20 minutes of this blitz is tough. And what we're doing really for the next big project is trying to personalize it more with a lot more interviews. So we are reaching out to who we can, but at the same time, I mean, there's a billion issues out there.
Oh, there are.
There's a billion of them. We got a lot of problems in this country right now. But we really believe that 9/11 is going to be, the straw that breaks the camel's back.
There's just one thing more I wanted to say. There's a book by the New Yorker called A Nation Challenge, a picture book, a copy book. And it has a government story. It's full of lies, but there is something true in there on page 87. There's the 343 firefighters on a mission of mercy who lost their lives that day. And when you show that clip to the victims, the people we lost, I mean, it wouldn't take much more to put their photos up there because they don't have a voice to talk anymore, and they've been intimidated. The firefighters, airline pilots, all these people have been threatened to lose their jobs and pensions, and just shut up and go away is what they're told. A lot of the families were drugged, the families of victims and stuff. And I just think it's important to put a few powerful images up there, like their faces, perhaps.
Do it, all right? Just do it.
Hi, I wanted to first commend you for the tremendously great work. I mean, little details or whatnot, I think it was a fantastic video. Given the fact that, as you were saying, this is basically a crime scene investigation, and the video is portraying that quite a bit. And first thing that one has to look into in terms of a crime is a motive. And so far, all of the motives within the past 5 years at least that I've personally thought about, or people that I've talked about, they just don't add up. The biggest one, I think, which is a red herring, is the oil one. There's peak oil. There's a lot of people running around like Michael Rupert saying, oh, it's oil, the world is, the sky is falling. I think it's a lot of BS. Everybody knows there is plenty of oil up in the sand, oils of Alberta and Canada. There's enough oil for the next 200 years. So that's not.
More energy to get
it does. It does until about $5 a gallon, but the economy will still go. So what I'd like to find out, if you could sort of take up that angle and as to what is the motivation for these people. Is it just plain power or greed, or what is it? Because most of the motives that you assign to these people as to why they're doing what they're doing just don't plain make sense.
Well, I mean, again, we try to, there's just so much. And I'm with that peak oil thing, by the way. I honestly think that if anybody here believes that we should be paying more for gas after taking over the second largest oil reserve in the world, you really got to think to yourself. And they're going to synthetically raise that price up with that peak oil thing. And I think we do have to be very careful about if this stuff starts to come out, that the 9/11 truthers that get the press start to talk about peak oil as a reason, because it's much broader than that. Read the Grand Chessboard. Read Rebuilding America's Defenses. Watch the Thomas Barnett 2-hour and 40-minute presentation at the Army War College. It's all about taking over all of Eurasia at one point, taking it all over the Middle East, making this country a second world nation. I mean, that's why you see people that were getting paid $30 an hour and had a pension fund and had medical for a factory job. It's not here anymore. It's all shipped over to other countries.
That's right.
So they are destabilizing our economy while taking over the rest of the world and creating a police state here.
That's right.
I mean, they passed so many anti-constitutional laws with the Patriot Act. It's unbelievable. So basically, I mean, they're taking your pensions. They're already in the process of it. Check it out. They're taking your borders. CAFTA is already passed. Central American Free Trade Agreement. They want to take over the entire border of Canada and Mexico. It's in the works right now. Call me crazy. Check it out. I mean, they want a North American superstate. I mean, they want you to work for as little as possible.
They want a one world government.
Well, and I mean, it's in that here, man. I don't disagree with you. But right now is our chance to fight all that. And if you don't realize that we're paying more to live, and you need 2 people to support a family now with full-time jobs, and you didn't need that 15 years ago, you really got to step back and look. And I agree with you, man. Peak oil does look like a big scam to me. There's enough oil. Everybody, you know, every redneck out there that was telling me, oh, I don't care, we're going to go into Iraq, we're going to pay $1 for gas. You're paying $3. You're going to be paying $3.50 next month. You're going to be paying $4 in a year.
I think you're right. It's all about one world government. That's
So
what it
yeah,
comes
I
down
mean,
to.
you know, globalization is there. These guys are backwards. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You know, we got to start at 9/11, guys. That's what we're saying. You know?
Read peanuts. Read peanuts. Project for New American
Hello,
Century. It's all there.
it's nice for you guys to come here and present this to us. Appreciate it. Thank you. And help money out.
Speak up louder.
It was a really good film, and really appreciated being here in the light. I learned a lot of things, and I'm one of those people that like to follow that. Anyway, to get to the point, you know, it's true that the 9/11 can really unravel this whole system, this whole neoliberal project, global project that we're seen to be facing. But you seem to be on an uphill trial. I think we need to somehow work and coordinate on how we can take a page from the immigrants fight, where we stop the machine somehow, make our labor, you know, it seems to be the only thing that they listen to is money.
Let me talk about that just for a second, the immigrant thing. Have you noticed that the media will portray that all the time on the front page? But yet, in New York City, we just had 300,000 people at an anti-war protest, many of them with uncover the 9/11 cover-up signs. I mean, it's just like the RNC, where there was a huge protest at the RNC. How dare they come to New York City? Tons of people had 9/11 truth banners. Not one station covered it. You could see it live on C-SPAN one time.
Well, I'm thinking
Well, I'm saying
we need not.
But I'm saying that it's organized.
Not protest, but
No, I know, but
stop working.
I'm saying
Boycott.
that there is that organization, but the media will play up the immigrants because again, if you give 10,000, I'm just saying, if you give 10,000 immigrants amnesty and you don't do anything about the borders, basically you're going to destabilize the economy even more because they'll take lower paying jobs and more people will come into the country because they can become citizens. Our country is awesome compared to Mexico. Why wouldn't we come here? And it's just going to drive down wages, and that's their overall goal. The more people that flood this country and
If I
get lower
was a
wages.
Mexican, I wouldn't want to come here because, you know, I'm a Mexican. I live in Mexico.
Yeah.
That's my home. And the only reason I would come here is for economic incentive.
Exactly.
And
And in fact, what I'm saying in turn, that does destabilize the American economy. It does, man. And I'm not saying what's going down in Mexico is right. You know what I mean? The government there is even more corrupt than ours, if that's possible. And
I
so,
don't know about that. But
I know that.
It is.
my one point is can we work on maybe somehow stopping the machine? Working together on a boycott and
the power of the
somehow
people
walk
to
out.
protest. You know, I agree, organization is key, man. But the media ain't covering us.
Start with yourself and stop consuming, because endless war is necessitated by consumer culture. So,
I don't
get rid of
disagree.
your iPod, start running your vehicle and waste vegetable oil.
I don't disagree with you, man. You know, this country would rather watch, you know, Buffy Covington on American Idol than, you know, be concerned about the government. And that's a sad thing.